have your attention, please? So my name is Lauren Kidder. I'm one of the passport coordinators for this semester, and it is my pleasure to introduce to you Matt Hopson today. So Matt Hopson is the Asset Building Case Management Director at Catholic Charities of Southeast Texas. He oversees and facilitates the first-time home buyer education, financial literacy programs, and the volunteer income tax assistance program. Previous his present position, he was the president of Southeast Texas Community Development Corporation, which is a nonprofit organization that provided homebuyer education and financial literacy classes to over 3,700 low to moderate individuals and families. He has also helped to educate, improve credit reports, pre-qualify, and build homes for over 75 families. He has national certifications in pre-purchase home ownership education, home ownership counseling for program managers, and executive directors in foreclosure intervention and default counseling. In addition to his 20-plus years in the nonprofit field, he has over 15 years of experience in banking, where he held the title of AVP in the consumer mortgage real estate lending areas. He has received numerous other community development and banking certificates of completion. When he's not working in the nonprofit field, he is a third-generation Boy and Cub Scout leader, and he's been married to Rhonda for over 38 years and parents to 2 adult sons. So if you would help me, please welcome Matt.
Oh, who is that guy? Well, good afternoon. My name is Matt Hopson. As was said, wow, I'll tell you what, I'll pay you for that nice introduction.
Yeah.
There. Thank you so much. I wanted to kind of get a feel of the room. I guess everybody's got to be here, right? Yeah. How many freshmen do we have in the group? 2 freshmen. Okay, what about 3 freshmen? Sophomores? All right. Juniors? Oh, okay, that's a good group. And seniors? Okay. Anybody in finance or accounting? Okay. Economics? Okay. All right, okay. Thank you so much. I wanted to kind of get a feel of the room. What we're going to be talking about today is 7 steps to creating wealth. Now, you know, when we talk about that, 7 steps to creating wealth, of course, we all want to make income, and of course, that's probably why you guys are here in college. In school, you know, you had to go to school, but college, now you have to pay to get this education. And so what we found out in helping individuals to, if you will, create wealth, is that something we call the self-management sequence. So you should have your forms here. One thing that, as I was sharing with individuals that, again, I've counted thousands over the years that I've been doing this. One thing that we found out that was happening was that the individuals are their worst enemy, because their habits that have been established, especially when it deals with finance, especially when it deals with money. And this is a game that everybody has to play. I mean, no matter where, what skill level you have, where you go into your field of expertise, money is going to be the key denominator, and how you handle that money is going to be very important. When you think about 2 statistics that I share with my classes all the time, one is individuals who by the time individuals reach age 65, they're going to be dead or dead broke, and they'll have less than $300 saved. Now, those statistics come from IRS and also Social Security, because those would be the organizations that would know that. So 95% of the people who reach age 65 are going to be dead or dead broke. And that same 95% will have less than $300 saved. Now, when we think about those statistics, of course, we certainly don't want to be in that 95%. And I'm sure you don't, because again, that's the reason why you're here at Lamar earning your degrees, so that you can make income. But when you think about it, from age 20 to age 65, that's 45 years? So that means if you only made $22,500 over that each year over that 45 years, you would have made over $1 million. And so for individuals who make much more than that, by the time they reach age 65, they're going to be dead or dead broke. There's something wrong with that picture. Those individuals didn't plan to fail, they just failed to plan. And so one of the things that we have been sharing with our group, instead of just going in and telling individuals how to do things, we wanted to show them why you need to do it. Because once you understand the why, the how becomes easier. And that's why we have this self-management sequence. You know, and it starts with here, behavior. Because again, that's what it's all about here. Again, behavior directly controls our success or failure. The things that we do. What are we doing right now? Right now you are going to school. Right now you are going to class. Right now you are in here because you want a better grade, and that's why you were obedient to be here. So when you talk about behavior, that directly controls your failure, and that, of course, behavior means action. So we know right or wrong. But how many times have we been in a situation where, oh, I know that's wrong, but man, we've done something wrong, and then ask ourselves, man, why did I do that? I knew better than to do that. But again, it all comes from behavior, feelings. So now our feelings affect how we do anything, how we feel. Okay, if we're in a good mood, then we're feeling good, then we're saying good things. If we're feeling bad, then we're doing bad things. And so now, your feelings are created, controlled, and influenced by your attitude. We have good ones and we have bad ones. Now I know everybody in here probably has a good attitude, but you probably know somebody that's got a bad attitude, okay? And so, if they have that bad attitude, then what comes out of that? Bad feelings come up, and then out of those bad feelings come bad behaviors. So now, where does a person's bad attitude come from? Well, we have good ones and bad ones. Good ones are essential for any kind of achievement. Here's the thing, we're not born with them. Those attitudes come from our beliefs. Beliefs can make something appear to be different than what it is. And here's the statement, it does not require it to be true. How many times have we heard something, or somebody having a conversation with someone, and they gave us, especially if they were talking about somebody else, and then they gave us bad information on it, and then we took that as truth, and then now we started looking at the individual a different way. But once we got a chance to know them, we found out that, oh man, that wasn't who they really were. And there are different situations that come along through your life experiences that you're going to get information. And so whether you believe that information or not will determine how your attitude is going to be about it, how your feelings are going to be about it, and how you behave. And so what we found out when we're talking with individuals about money and how important it is and how to handle it, we understood that it started with our programming. Okay, what we put in is what we get out. You know, that the book says, as a man thinketh, so is he. And so as the programming that we're having, so right now, you guys are in school. You guys are being programmed into and being able to be able to do the things that you're going to be doing in your specific fields. But as you get that information, as you get that education, another part of that is life. And so your beliefs are being developed right now. And so if we can help individuals have a belief on how to deal with money, because again, you're going to make it. The question is, what are you going to do with your millions? Because I promise you, each one of you, as you graduate, you're going to be making more than $22,500, okay? And if you're still with us 45 years later, you would have made millions and millions and millions of dollars. But the question is, what are you going to do with your million? And that's why we go through this, because again, if we can help individuals have the right beliefs that will then produce the right attitudes, that will then produce the right feelings, it will produce the right behavior. And so we move into the first step in creating wealth is earning an income. right? Okay, money has to touch your hands. And so in that earning that income, for individuals, you know, you want to seek some stable employment. Of course, you know, the different fields that you go into, you are going to be receiving an income. And so the question is, once you get that money coming in, have you thought about what you're going to do with it? Of course, you know, I'm going to buy a car, you know, got to buy clothes, you know, got to buy food, but what else? What other things? And so what we help individuals to understand is that once you have that income that's coming in, whether it be coming from employment, whether it comes from, you know, you can turn a hobby into a business, or whether you have become self-employed, there's an income that's coming in. And so the next step there is controlling the spending. So now as the income comes in, you're going to be spending. And so what we want individuals to understand is we want you to treat your personal life as a business. You know, a business has income coming in and they have expenses going out. And then the remaining of that money they invest, you know, in their particular business. And so we'll talk about that later. But again, controlling the spending. And so we help individuals to control their spending by establishing a spending plan. So we help individuals to determine in advance where do you want your money to go. So for those in the room, how many have an income coming in right now? Okay, so you guys have that income that's coming in right now. How many of you been having income that's been coming in at least 2 years? At least 3 years? 4 years? Okay. Okay, let's go into 3 years. Now think about all of the income that has touched your hands in those 1, 2, 3 years. Think about how much of that is still in the bank, in your checking or savings account. Think about how much of that is at home under the mattress. Think about how much is in your purse or your wallet. That money that's come in, how much of that do you still have? And a lot of times when individuals don't establish a spending plan, it comes in, they spend it all, and they end up, comes in, spend it, comes in, spend it. Because they haven't determined in advance where they want it to go, advertisers pay billions of dollars a year telling you where they want your money to go. How many times have you gone into a grocery store for a specific thing and walked out of there with more than what you wanted? You know? How many times have we gone to the mall, maybe for some stockings or some socks, and walked out of there with an outfit? You know, again, we are being told what to do. As children, our parents told us what to do. When we in high school, in school, our teachers told us what to do. College, our teachers are still telling us what to do. And for those of you who are married, our spouses tell us what to do. As I said, I've been married 38 years. I still say my 2 words that allowed me to stay married for 38 years is yes, dear. Yes, dear. So we've been programmed to be told what to do. And when we talk about the programming, that programming brings about the beliefs brings about the attitude brings about the feelings, and the feelings bring about the behavior. So we help individuals determine in advance where they want their money to go. So if you have $1,000 coming in developing a spending plan, you want to spend that $1,000 on paper. You want to spend it, put what categories you want to put it in. And we'll go into more details about that. The next thing you want to make sure that's part of your spending plan are that budget word. You know, I never liked that budget word. That was so constricting to me, and especially when I started to do mine. A spending plan, that plan, you know, so it was a plan that I decided to do, and that's why I used the spending plan. The next thing is establish a savings plan. So part of your spending plan should be a savings plan. Because again, the reason that 95% of the people don't have a savings is because they never set up a savings. Okay? They never set up a plan to make sure that they have a savings. And a lot of times I deal with clients all the time depending on what their income is. It's really not about how much income you make, it's about how much you keep. You know, you guys, you're kind of young, but you probably know of or heard of some basketball, football players earned millions and millions and millions of dollars. And then after they retire, they have nothing to show for it. Some of them made some good investments, others, you know, money just got away from them because they didn't have a plan. And so in establishing that savings account, you want to set aside 3 to 6 months of savings for an emergency fund, if you will. And then after you reach that point, then you will move into the investment side. So control your spending. Income to control your spending. The third, help your savings grow. You want to put that interest, you want to put your money into some type of interest-bearing account. And we'll talk about all of these kind of things. But again, the goal is, as you're young and as you start the savings, see, you're earning all of the income now. And as you put the money in the account and it starts working for you, then as you grow older, it grows larger so that at retirement time, it's working for you and you working less. Okay? A lot of times individuals, because they didn't do this and they retire on less than they were making, so which means that after they retire, they have to go back and get another job. And so those are the kind of things that if you plan, and especially the you young folk, I mean, you've got some time to really be able to do this. So if we can get you to think about planning how you're spending your funds, you're going to be well off. Okay, fourth thing, protect your assets. You insure your assets as you get them. Right now, if you own automobiles, you probably have insurance on your vehicle. So if something happens to it, you know, you're not out of that money. The insurance company will pay the balance, and then you use the difference to purchase another car. Again, insuring your life. You know, life insurance is very important. While you're young, you insure yourself, and once you get a family, you know, you're insured so that when something happens to you, those funds, your family has something to rely on. We have life, medical, and property insurance. So all parts of the plan of creating wealth. The fifth thing is for those who want to become a homeowner or real estate. Real estate is one of the biggest wealth building instruments here in the country, because the majority of the time, if you have a real estate, or especially a home, it increases in value. So, you know, as you're paying down on it, decreases in value, which equity, and so again, you're building wealth. And so for those who do houses over a period of time, I mean, you know, you buy one and then, you know, you can, you move it on up, buy another one, rent that one out. And so again, you want to think about doing that. And so we offer a home buyer education class, and I'll show you some information on that. And yes, we have college individuals who are purchasing homes. Yeah. So it just depends on what your income, and especially in the Beaumont area. There are down payment assistance programs that are available, and we'll talk more about that you know, at the end. But again, think about becoming a homeowner. Everybody doesn't want a home, so you know that's not, you don't have to do that. However, in the big scheme of things, in developing wealth, you know, you have to develop some assets, and so you want some assets that will be able to do that. 6, invest in retirement. Once you graduate, especially your juniors and your seniors, that income is about to start coming in. And so if you're working for companies that provide the 401k, now that 401k program that is offered at jobs, how many of you have heard that term, 401k? Okay, good. So you guys kind of know what that is. But again, it's a matched savings program. So if somebody's going to give you money to give you an incentive to save, and they're going to match what you're saving, and generally organizations match up to 6% of what you put in. So whatever you save, up to 6%, your company is going to match that 6%. And of course, that money becomes yours after you've been at the organization. You know, there are different terms. 3 years generally is the minimum. Some require 5. You be at the job for 5 years. But again, it is money that is being saved for retirement. So that, again, that process of you saving, because you're earning more, but you're putting little at a time into that savings, and as you grow older, you know, that money will start working for you. And the beautiful part about the program, or the 401k and even the individual retirement account, is it's tax deferred. So you pay no taxes on that income while it's going into that. So you're allowed of being able to save money without having to pay taxes on it. So it comes right off the top of your gross income, and then you're taxed on the lesser amount. Invest in your retirement. 7, increase your ability to earn. You guys are doing that right now. You are educating yourself. You're doing the things that you need to do right now that is going to give you the ability to earn more income. But remember, it doesn't stop right there. You want to continue to increase your knowledge. So once you, for instance, once you graduate, once you start making the income, then you want to look at your boss. You want to see what they're doing. And then you're wanting to see if that's something that you would like to do, and you want to learn as much as you can about that individual, because you never know when that individual either is going to retire or is going to go somewhere else. But if you've gathered the information and you know how to do their job, then you would probably have a better chance of getting that position, because most companies like to hire from within. So you want to always continue to increase your knowledge, even on financial things. How many of you have a checking or savings account? Oh, excellent. You know, in my classes, and the majority of my homebuyer education classes, we have individuals who are in their 40s and 50s, have some who are 60s, trying to buy their first home. And some of them don't have a checking or savings account. And so you want to make sure that you know how to use that checking account, because what has happened with those individuals, they had an account, but because they didn't understand how to use it, you know, it ended up costing them. So when you think about anything that you don't understand the purpose of, you'll abuse it. Anything that you don't understand the purpose of, you'll abuse it. If you don't understand the purpose of money, you'll abuse it because it'll get away from you. If you don't understand the purpose of friendships, you'll abuse them. You'll take advantage of it. If you don't understand the purpose of Lamar and of your teachers, you'll abuse them. So the goal here in the programming, understanding what do I believe? What do I believe about money? First of all, before you can believe anything about money, you have to get the education. You have to know about money. And there are many websites. And so for those of you who have bank accounts, the majority of your banks and credit unions or whatever have financial education information just on the website. So when you get the opportunity, you go and, I know all of you are computer literate and tech savvy and all of that. And man, that's a great thing. And so there's information that is available to you that wasn't available to a lot of individuals, who are much older. And so always increase your knowledge. Never stop learning. Never stop learning. The more you know. I remember my dad used to tell me, power flows with the man who knows what, when, how, and why. Power flows with the man who knows what, when, why, and how. And I remember, in somewhat of a setting like this, when even way back then, I still remember college. Matter of fact, I enjoyed college life. Got an accounting and finance degree and minored in economics. And so started working in banking right out of college, second largest bank in the city of San Antonio. And so as I was climbing that corporate ladder and then settling in the loan department, I was actually making loans to individuals who were making much more than me, and marveled at, wow, man, I'm making loans to individuals that make more money than I did. But one thing that I did recognize while I was in that in the consumer loan department was that there were a lot of individuals who were being declined for loans because of mismanagement of money. And so a lot of times situations happen, you have an income, have a loss of job, medical situations, those kind of things happen. But the majority of the people that I was seeing that had the credit issues and stuff, they just didn't know how to manage the money. The money was coming in and it was going out. They never took the time or even possibly knew to, or they probably wanted to, but again, did not develop the habit of the savings, did not develop the habit of from the savings moving to the investment side of that. And so there was an education that I saw. On top of that, there was an education that I saw that as soon as I left the bank, I became a consumer just like them. Now think about this word, consumer. And of course, all your accounting, you've probably heard that term, consumer. What do consumers do? Consume. You guys are young enough to know Pac-Man. Pac-Man just gobbling up, just gobbling up. And so that's what we end up doing. We end up, and the bankers call it consumers. And I started seeing that as being in my mind, it was a negative term because it was consuming. As I consume it, then I got to buy it again. As I consume it, I got to buy it again. And so if you consume everything that you make, you're starting from square one every time. If the income comes in, you consume it all. You don't set aside something for a rainy day on a consistent basis. Then again, those laws, those things that life happens, and then it causes us to be in situations that we don't like to be in. If you've ever had a car that broke down and you didn't have enough money to fix it, there was kind of some anxiety there. If you ever had a student or some bills in school that, a bill that you had to pay, and you didn't have the funds, it brings some anxiety. But if you had a bill and you had the resources to be able to take care of them, you felt pretty good. And so that's the purpose of these 7 steps and this one here, increasing your knowledge. Always increase your knowledge. And so with that, start now. It's never too late. For those of you who are already, you have a checking account, you have a savings account, you have income coming in, set up that spending plan. As I said, the majority of your lenders have something on their website that shows you how to. They may have the term budget, but it's the same thing. And again, all that is you're determining in advance how you want to spend your money. Because if you don't determine it, then somebody else will. And that's why it's never too late to take advantage of that. These are 2 classes that we offer. The Building Wealth, we've got a 3-hour class. All of our classes are free of charge, although we're Catholic Charities. You don't have to be Catholic to take advantage of any of our services. And so not only will you learn here on the spending plan, but also there are credit things that you want to make sure that you understand and know about. Because again, how many of you heard of credit score? I mean, how many of you have a credit report and have seen your credit report and your credit score? Okay, good, good. So again, you've got the information. And this is the best time. This is the best time to make sure that all of those things in order. Because again, when you apply for a job, guess what your employer is going to do? They're going to pull a credit report. And they do that because that determines how you manage things. And so if your credit report is, I heard somebody say when they were coming in to ask them whether we could help them fix their credit. They said, look, I'm just telling you up front, my credit is jacked up. And so I hadn't quite heard that term, but again, what they were saying was my credit is pretty bad. And so there is always something that you can do to get your credit. And again, it's all about getting the knowledge. And it's about getting the knowledge and using that knowledge. Because wisdom is the correct application of knowledge. It's not just having the information, but it's knowing how to use that information correctly. And in finance, and everybody is playing this game. How many of you went to the football game, Lamar football game? Oh, what of you? But how many of you enjoyed football, Lamar? You were excited Lamar won the football game, right? And so again, everybody doesn't play the game of football. Everybody doesn't play the game of basketball or tennis or whatever. But guess what? If you breathing, everybody is playing the game of finance. How many of you have seen the game of life or played the game of life? There's a Milton Bradley game of life. What about, what's the other one with the money? Monopoly. How many of you played Monopoly before? How many of you won with Monopoly? Okay, felt pretty good, right? Playing with those dollars, although they were fake, although they didn't buy anything other than what was on the board, it felt good having that kind of money. Especially having that, especially people stand up in your property, and I don't know, now probably none of you guys don't look like y'all would be individuals who would rub it in when you won. Yeah, but you know, but again, having that, having those resources to be able to buy those properties, and then people coming across you, I mean, you know, you come on around, you know, especially if you got a hotel on your spot, come on around, because you know you're going to be collecting, right? And so the goal is to hold on to as much money as you can, and then be able to buy those properties. And as individuals who didn't have enough money, when they landed on your property, they didn't have enough money, they went bankrupt. You know, thousands of people go bankrupt every year. Bankrupt is when you have a debt that you can't pay. And those individuals, and it's not a pleasant proceeding when you go to bankruptcy court. Those individuals probably made thousands and thousands and probably millions of dollars, but they found themselves in a situation where they didn't have enough assets to be able to take care of debts, and so they had to file. We see that all the time. I do foreclosure counseling. Individuals who've purchased homes, that dream of home ownership. I know they were excited about getting that home, and now they're in a situation where they may be losing it. And so we have programs where, again, for the majority of them, we're able to help them through that particular situation, but the majority of them, probably 95, 96, 97% of them, did not have a spending plan, did not have a plan for when life happened. And so, again, the best way to know whether you can afford a house is before you buy a house. The best way you know whether you can handle a debt is before you get the debt. And that's getting the information. So we have two classes that will be coming up, again, free of charge, Building Wealth. This is a 3-hour class, again, goes through that, helping individuals develop a spending plan no matter what their income is. We've always helped an individual to save. We had individuals who said, well, look, I don't have any money to save. And so when we went to help them develop the spending plan, and so we showed them just in certain areas, just helping them to work through, because we don't tell people how to spend their money. Individuals work too hard. You work too hard for your money, so it's your right to spend your money the way you want to. However, if there are issues that and situations that are coming up that you see that you need some help, we're here to help individuals and are able to help them get back on the right track. And we do that every day, all day, helping individuals to take control of their financial future. The next program here is the Realizing the American Dream, which is a home buyer education seminar, which is coming up September the 16th and 19th. That's an 8-hour class, which allows individuals to learn the A to Z's in going through the process of buying a house. So for some of you who are not quite ready to buy a house, but again would like to at least get the education part of it, because the more education you have, the more information you have, the better it would be for you. And so you can get the education, again, free of charge. And so for those individuals who do take the class, the cities of Beaumont and Port Arthur have up to $14,999 in down payment and closing cost assistance available to individuals. And then, of course, the state has some down payment assistance money available for those who would be interested in that. So those two things are made available to you. Okay, with that, are there any questions? Anything you ever wanted to ask a banker? Anything you ever wanted to ask about finances? Yes, sir.
What's a good interest-bearing account? Because I know most accounts, like, you don't earn much interest nowadays.
Right. For the beginning part, you're really not necessarily interested in the interest, just because, as you said, most banks are offering less than 1% interest. And so, for the most part, the goal is to 3 to 6 months of whatever your income. So if you're making $1,000, you want to save at least $3,000 to $6,000. Well, let's rewind. You want to 3 to 6 months of expenses. So whatever your expenses are for the month, you want to at least save that amount. And then there are certain programs that you can go into. There's money market accounts. There's and there are a number of financial planners out there. But before you move to the before you move to the investment side, make sure that you have the savings part. Because what happens is that individuals, want to go into the investment part, and before they save that money, they go into the investment, and when a situation comes up, they've got to eat into the investment. And most of the time, when you go into have to get money out of the investment, you end up not only losing the interest that you paid on it, but you end up losing some of your principal. So there's a process that you want to go through which is saving that 3 to 6 months, and then from there, move into the investments. And there are a number of individuals out there that can help you do that. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Your home buying class, could it also be applied to if you want to buy a business or land to build a business on?
The home buyer education class does not cover that. However, the first 4 parts of that class covers your spending plan, because that's going to be necessary, and your getting your credit, making sure that all of that's in place. And then from that, we have a small business class that we have, but also Lamar has a small business development here on campus that we can connect you with, that will allow you to be able to get information, because that takes you to another level. And the more information because unfortunately, every 5 years, every business starts, 3 out of the 5 businesses that start within go out of business because they had a good product, but they didn't understand the backroom part of that. And the backroom part of that is knowing how to manage the income that was coming in. And so, good question. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
How many credit cards do you recommend for an individual to build your credit?
How many credit cards do you recommend to build your credit? That depends on what you're wanting to do at the specific time. However, credit and debt are two different things. And so initially, as you're young, you want to definitely take advantage of the credit. So what I suggest individuals do, first of all, develop the spending plan before you even get the credit, because they're going to send you, you're going to get these, and oh, you're probably already receiving these letters stating how good you are and that you deserve this. And so they tell you all of the things that you can get with this, be able to do with this credit card, and they never tell you that in that big print that you got to pay it back. So it's very important that you know what the stipulations are on the card. So in answer to your question as far as how many credit cards, of course you'd want to start with one after you develop your spending plan, and in that spending plan you have a savings plan. And then of course when you use the card, you have the money, you use the card, and then when the bill comes in, you pay it off. That way, you're having use of other people's money for that period of time, but then, of course, you keep your balance low. On individuals who have credit cards, very important that you keep 30% or less of your credit limit on your credit cards to maximize, if you want to maximize your credit score. Okay, so you don't want to have a $500 credit limit and you're at $495 on the credit card. You want to keep that balance low. But again, if you have your spending plan, if you have your savings, you'll be able to do that. So you want to make sure that you don't get heavily in debt on the credit cards. Question? Oh, excellent, excellent. All right. If there are no other questions, you sure? I know there's no such thing as a silly question, especially when you're dealing with finance. Okay. Well, for those of you who wish to go further, my name is Matt Hopson. On the form that you have, there's a phone number there, but my direct line is 409-924-4425. I did not put my direct phone number on that. And so we can certainly help you take care of those particular, if you have any issues. Oh, let me just mention this if I can. A number of you probably have student loans, okay? And you probably know that 6 months after graduation, those student loans are going to come due. 6 months after graduation, or you leave school. 6 months, student loans are going to come due. Very important that you communicate with, of course, the organizations have your current address. But that's one of the biggest ways, really, to start establishing your credit, even with that kind of debt. And so once you start work, and rewind. Even if you don't start a job, those loans are still going to come due. You can get those student loans deferred. Okay, you won't have to make any payments, but you have to contact your lender. And I'm thinking that when you graduate, is that part of leaving school where they talk about the student? They give you your name of the place that's going to. You want to stay in communication with them. The best way to have good credit is before you have bad credit. Okay, so you always want to be able to communicate with your lender. And if any situation comes up, especially again with student loans, if you don't have the income coming in, you can get those loans deferred with no problem. But again, you have to communicate with them. And then for those of you who go into the nonprofit side or doing certain things, you want to check with your lender to see whether any of your student loans can be forgiven. within a period of time. So I know that there are organization, individuals who go into on the nonprofit side, and if you stay at that nonprofit for 10 years, your debt, your student loan debt will be forgiven. So always check to see, you know, if those things are available to you. Okay? All right, thank you.
All right.